The housing market is not looking good. Interest rates are up and pensioners are hurting as Canada officially enters recession. Bloomberg saying payment shock coming for most Canadians with mortgages. RBC says about 60% face higher payments in the next 3 years in this report. Credit loses forecast absent significant declines in rates. This is Pierre Poilievre tweeting this out. Bank of Canada governor confirms Trudeau spending is keeping inflation high. If rates don't come down, millions of Canadian homeowners are facing detonation, he says. Emphasis on the debt in that. Cap spending now and bring down inflation and interest rates. So I don't know if we could bring down both of those. It's just not seemingly possible with the amount of spending they have done in the past. This is going to be something that we're going to have to go through at this point, at least for the foreseeable future. Financial Post reporting, crystal clear sign for Bank of Canada. What the economists say about GDP. Economy could already be in recession, putting an end to rate hikes. Could already be in recession. They're actually confirming that it is in recession. Here we have, based on the data so far, Stephen Brown, Deputy Chief North American Economist at Capital Economics, estimated the third quarter GDP contracted to 0.1%. That, coupled with the pullback in growth in the second quarter of 0.2%, would meet the technical definition for a recession, 2 consecutive quarters of contraction. Other economists, including Brown, said it is still possible that the economy could avoid a contraction in the third quarter, but with the Bank of Canada's recent business outlook survey and the October CFIB business barometer both now consistent with negative GDP growth, it seems more likely that the modest recession we are forecasting has now begun, Brown says. Modest? Well, we'll see how that goes. The latest data should give the Bank of Canada another reason to end its rate hike campaign, says this economist. I wonder where he studied. You could probably find out just by what he's saying here. With 2 quarters of negative growth, Trudeau's Canada is officially in recession. He needs to resign now before more damage is done. Sign the petition. Yeah, okay, he's not going to follow that petition, but you know, it gives people hope to go sign these petitions. He needs to resign in order for Canada to start the recovery, but the recovery is still going to come in the form of a recession. This is just how it goes when market rates are far too low for far too long, and it encourages reckless spending, both on the part of the government and malinvestment in the economy. And that's just kind of where we're at with this. Now, Macklem elimination of the carbon tax would lead to a single-year drop in inflation, he says. This is these are his words at a House of Commons FINA committee. I'll just let this play here.
One question is, because the carbon tax is going up, right, over time. Mm-hmm. So one question is, how much are the increases in the carbon tax adding to inflation each year? And that number is about 0.15 percentage points of inflation.
Got it.
And that's the direct impact on those 3 components.
Perfect, thank you.
The second question you asked me was, what would be the effect if the carbon tax, what would be the effect on inflation if the carbon tax was eliminated? And that would create a one-time drop in inflation of 0.6 percentage points.
Okay.
So that would last 1 year, and since you can only eliminate it once, the next year it would have no effect on inflation.
For sure. For sure. And hopefully next year inflation won't be as a big a concern as it is this year. But just to reiterate what you said there, so it would be 60 basis points or 0.6%, which currently the inflation rate is at 3.8%. So that equates to more than 10, I think almost 15%, if I can do the math quickly,
well,
in a drop in inflation. So that would be a sizable drop in inflation. It would make your job, to quote you, it would be helpful, if I can Would that be correct?
It's only going to affect inflation for 1 year.
Yeah, but
So he's sticking to his guns on that one. Now, this is the same man who said this a year ago.
Interest rates are very low, and they're going to be there for a long time.
Oh?
We recognize that Canadian businesses are facing an unusual amount of uncertainty. And so we have been unusually clear about the future path for interest rates. If you've got a mortgage, or if you're considering to make a major purchase, or you're a business and you're considering making an investment, you can be confident that interest rates will be low for a long time.
So borrow more money. Why don't you get that big loan, buy that big house, get over leveraged, because we're going to keep interest rates low for a long time. Newsflash, he didn't, and now he's saying this stuff about inflation, that it won't help for more than a year if they were to get rid of the carbon tax, something that it contributes to 15% of the current inflation rate and is set to go up in the future. So yeah, it would be more of an expounding thing on inflation, absolutely, and it'll continue to be something to inflate the price of food and fuel and all of these things that Canadians absolutely need on a daily basis. Now, this coming from Paul Mitchell on Twitter. Breaking: Liberal Deputy Minister Chrystia Freeland convenes a special meeting of provincial and territorial finance ministers to discuss the government of Alberta's proposed withdrawal from the Canadian pension plan. Why would the Canadian pension plan, why would they want to withdraw from it? Perhaps they haven't been forthcoming with what they've been doing with the funds in the Canadian pension plan itself. We recently had hikes to the contributions, they call them, to the pension plan, which is a tax. It's a tax, absolutely, because it doesn't directly proportionately change how much you're going to receive from the pension plan, but they did increase how much you're going to pay into it. If all the CPP money is there and CPP isn't a Ponzi scheme that relies on plundering Alberta, there shouldn't be a problem with Alberta leaving, right? Or is this a big problem you're hiding? And for all those that get ill at the sound of her voice, earmuffs right now, or you can skip to the next bit, but we're going to hear her voice for 15 seconds here.
Let me confirm that this Friday, I will be convening a special meeting of provincial and territorial finance ministers to discuss the government of Alberta's proposed withdrawal from the Canada Pension Plan.
So this is a considerably a thing of interest to a lot of Canadians. They've paid into these plans for some time. Alberta is looking to manage the funds themselves because they believe, I'm taking it, that they believe that the government of Canada is reckless in how they manage the money that they're given when it comes to tax dollars and whatnot. So why would they be any less reckless with Canadians' pensions? And this has become a point of contention. Yukon Strong here. I warned people about this the other day. Ottawa has bankrupted the country. Time to find out if our pensions even exist. Caller bluff, Danielle Smith. Do not back down. Canadians need to know if the Liberals robbed us, and they absolutely do. Marty up north adding to this, with the panic surrounding the Alberta's pension plan, I'm starting to wonder if the CPP money is even there. I'm wondering the same thing. Obviously, a lot of Canadians have been concerned about this for years. It's been kind of a trope in my generation that by the time we get to putting our hands out asking for that pension plan, it won't be there. It just won't be there. We've seen it as a Ponzi scheme forever. Now, even Liberals are running attack ads on Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party, saying that they made moves to move the retirement age to 67. As you know, people have survived a lot longer time since the pension plans were even put into place. 65 was the year that they were given at the beginning. And most sensible countries see that there's a decline in demographics. There's all kinds of stuff happening. Japan's taken steps in the right direction, raising the age of retirement. France tried to, and there was riots in the streets. But this is an attack ad from the Liberals that I don't know if it comes down to it, is it really an attack on the Conservatives, or is it an attack on themselves here?
We've already taken steps to limit the growth of our healthcare spending over that period. We must do the same for our retirement income system.
Significant increases in the effective retirement age are required to maintain control of the cost of pensions.
Stephen Harper's government cut benefits for seniors by raising the retirement age from 65 to 67. And he didn't campaign on that. He didn't promise he was going to do that. He just went ahead and did it. And the Conservatives will do that again.
Well, the Liberal Party has effectively is going to be raising the age to never, because people are not going to be eligible. Well, it will be eligible, but they're just going to destroy all of the wealth that has been accumulated since since it was started. And this is the reality of the situation. If you just keep promising people stuff and then spending it, you're not going to have anything to give to them. I think, in certain cases of austerity and measures like raising the age of retirement, it's because largely people are surviving much longer. The life expectancy in Canada is a lot higher than it used to be. But to Trudeau's benefit here, he has lowered the survivability, the length of life in Canada. He has lowered it significantly since he's come to office. That is actually a thing. Maybe not a benefit to Canadians, but that maybe for the retirement savings plan. But I digress. Liberals are getting quite nasty about this stuff here. Here's one nameless Liberal coming in, just making really odd accusations here.
Liberals launched an attack against Pierre Poilievre. What do you think of that approach?
Well, I think you've heard me in the past on my views about Mr. Poilievre. I think people need to see him for what he is. He's kind of a guy, when you're around him, you kind of want to check for your wallet afterwards. I have no particular like for him. Again, these things shouldn't necessarily be that personal, but in the case of Mr. Poilievre,
you make an exception.
The guy that's trying to take Canadians for a ride, and we can forgive ourselves for being fooled one time, but the second time I think can be quite dangerous. And so it is what it is. I don't think it's a question of being negative all the time, but about clearly showing Canadians in a way that we haven't been demonstrating, at least over the last little while, who this person really is, and to not be fooled by him. I think he's very, very dangerous for the state of democracy in which we see it. Whether it's cheering on Freedom Convoy folks, making insinuations about the Prime Minister and his so-called appearance on a passport, it's ridiculous, and I think it needs to be called out.
When was the
It is dangerous, according to this Liberal, to support Canadians that are concerned about freedom. It's dangerous to comment about a picture on a passport. That's where we live. That's where we live here in Canada at this point. Now, Justin Trudeau gave a challenge in the House of Parliament, in the House of Commons, that Pierre Poilievre may not win the next election. Glenda M here writing on Twitter, Trudeau says the Conservatives will lose the next election, to which Pierre motions, bring it on. You can watch him in the lower right corner.
After the summer we've had, they continue to say no plan against climate change is what's good for Canadians, good for our economy, good for businesses. They are wrong, and Canadians are going to show them that once again.
Lower right, there he is. Bring it on. Bring it on. We would love to have an election. A lot of Canadians would absolutely love to have an election right now, and the polls are showing that Canadians would love to have an election. But hey, let me know what you think. The economy is in rough shape at the moment. It doesn't look like it's going to recover anytime soon. We're going to have to take some drastic measures to make sure that it does recover. And there's a big looming housing bubble that is about to pop in Canada. I don't think there's much avoiding that except getting out of the housing economy if you can. But this is going to be a rough ride, considering that guy says he's going to take us for a ride. Yeah, we're on a ride. We're on a ride. We have been for 8 years. And, well, we're just about to hit the big, steep decline. Let me know in the comment what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.